the Latino community, from what I've experienced, we've had some people that I've recognized, that Carmen has recognized, and they're really talented producers, like young kids, and they're talented, but they want to be actors, and they want, and we're like, we'll support you, we'll support you. I mean, whatever we got, we'll let you even do our stuff for free. We just want you to get, because we see them. They make phone calls. If they need something, they'll call and get it. A producer is like this person that doesn't stop. They'll get what they need. You need that mentality, and we see these kids that can do that.
Let's talk about Tyler Perry, because where he was very smart in was he produced his own plays that he wrote, went to places where he had a large church community that saw, he didn't go to theaters. He went to churches and did his plays at churches, and then got a big enough following where he was able to then say, okay, I got a bunch of churches in Los Angeles, and I'm going to put it at the Kodak Theater, and then I'm going to invite Hollywood to come and see it. He was very strategic in how he set it up. And then when he went to Hollywood, they didn't really want him. So then
Mm-hmm.
he said to the studio, "Listen, I want to make a movie. I'll bankroll it. I just need you to distribute it." So his first movie, he put the money in. They didn't, even with him having an audience, completely selling out the Kodak Theater for a number of shows, they still didn't believe, like, well, he can bring in money. He had to bankroll the first movie he did.
Yeah.
They don't see the problem is in Hollywood, in on Broadway, they don't see the value of projects of color, because they don't believe, for whatever reason, that people of color like to go to the theater.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and and again, a lot of people tell you, well, if you don't like it, produce your own stuff, like Tyler Perry did. No, that's difficult. That's a singular talent. You gotta know business. You gotta know your voice, um, strategies. You know, that's the way Tyler Perry thinks. So um, he has to have a business acumen. You just can't do that without having that.
Well,
The
he
fact that
also,
he was so.
well, in all fairness, he was also smart enough to find a couple of people that were entrenched in Hollywood, that knew the business, that
Mhm.
would come in
Yes. Yes.
and serve as his mouthpiece, because uh, Reuben Cannon was the bridge between him and Hollywood. And then Reuben Cannon brought in Oprah. He had a relationship
Yeah.
with Oprah, so it's not incumbent on the playwright or the writer to do that themselves, but to be able to tap into somebody who they can say, "Hey, can you help me here?" Because that is, you need that support system. You can't, no matter how
Yes.
brilliant you are, you can't do that by yourself.
Exactly. That's part of his brilliance. Being able to make a pitch to someone in the business,
Right,
because about the business. All people do all day is pitch.
right, right.
You go to a restaurant. There's 100 pitches going on. A bar. You go anywhere. There's a pitch going on. The people follow you into the bathroom to make a pitch. So being able to, in a very clear manner, to express that pitch and to let them know how they're gonna win, because it's about money, right? So we're gonna say, I'm gonna put money into your pocket. So you don't know this because you don't know this audience. You don't know what they're capable of,
Right.
and how they starving for stories, right? Stories makes the world go around.
And that is
You
why
know.
we need all these playwrights. That is why we need your work. That is why we need the Latino community to come behind and support. You know, we need Latino producers. We need to raise up Latino producers, teach them the craft of producing and financing. You know, being able to finance a project, to go out there and get the money, so that we're not waiting for a white producer who has no idea of our culture to say this is going to make money. If we go back to the Tyler Perry model, it was a black man who went to Hollywood and said, there's money to be made here. You know, I've seen it. He has a connection with all these churches across the country. And you may not believe us, but he's going to bankroll this, and we're going to show you the money. So when they saw it, and they didn't have to invest anything in it, then they became part of the Tyler Perry fan club. And we need that with Latinos. We need to have some good Latino producers and financiers to go, you know what? I'm going to bank on Candido's play. I'm going to show you that there's money to be made here. And I'm not going to put it in a small Latino theater, but I'm actually going to take it to Broadway and show you that there is a big market that wants this project. Not just Latinos, but blacks and whites want this project. I in December of last year, I went to go see A Soldier Story. And, you know, it's a play that's been done before. Now it's on Broadway. And then that place was standing room only. They had a multicultural audience. You know, it was black people, white people, handicapped people. I mean, it was packed. There's money there, but it is convincing people to take a chance, to say, look, this is, and that place sold out. I mean, there was, you know, you didn't have, it wasn't like, you know, going to a small theater and there's, you know, it's a 50-seater and 40 of the seats are available. This was a huge theater, and every seat was taken. Every seat.
Yes, I think I have a friend who's a producer. She did both Broadway, and then in order to become a Broadway producer, you have to take these classes, I think, in the Broadway League, and you take these weekly seminars, and then if you show promise, then you get like this very extensive, like 13 weeks every day, working with producers. They teach you, and you can take that class. You cannot produce on Broadway.
Wow.
Right? So I have a friend who took the class, and that she was accepted into that secondary class, and you know, she's Latina, so she says, well, she's talking about Latino projects, and the producers there said, look, we do not know how to reach them. That's why there's no Latino shows. We don't know how to reach them. Now, they also don't want to make the investment. They already have a way to get to that white audience. And now, you know, because of all the black shows on Broadway, they probably have some type of structure worked out to get the black audience in there. But Latinos, they were lost. And so, and she didn't know that. You know, she went into that thinking, hey, let's talk about Latino projects. She said, no, we don't touch them. And so we have to understand that. We have to understand what are the limitations in their thinking.
Well, let me stop you there, because that is the same consensus that they say in Hollywood. We cannot get to the Latino audience. There is, you know, they're not coming. When we do a Latino movie, they don't show up. So, so then, and this has been, I've been looking at this for a while. It's like, how do we get Latinos to come and support us? You know, the last Latino project that theater base that I know of that did very well was um, John Leguizamo's show,
Hmm.
history, Latino history for morons. But he's not the only one. And how do
Yeah.
we, how do we as Latinos start investing in ourselves? Because that to me is the frustration. It's like right now we have no Latino voices. We have no leaders, no Latino leaders that are
Yeah.
coming to the forefront. And you had made a observation about having lost all these Latino mentors in the 80s. And as I'm listening to you, I'm going, yes, we have. And we haven't really they we haven't built them up again.
Hmm.
That there might be three people, Latinos, and then they become the gatekeeper, that which is
Yeah.
not
Yes.
good either. It's not good either, because then they a lot of times they don't have good taste.
Hmm.
you know they just they're chosen, they're ordained by the white community, and it says you're in charge of Latinos now. And I think that's bullshit. I just
Yeah.
think that's some stupid ass thinking, excuse my French, but
Yeah.
it's so disrespectful. And I'm not, white people are taking care of white people. I'm looking at how Latinos take care of Latinos. We bitch, we complain, we say we don't have, but how do we get together and support each other? That's what I'm looking for. It's like, let's support each other. Let's build community. With when Miriam Colon was alive and well, the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater did pretty well. It had
Hmm.
traction. We're losing that right now.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things here. Um, One, I want to backtrack a little bit. We do need producers. Now, in the community at large, the artistic community at large, producers come about, they wanted to be actors, they weren't good enough, or they scraped their knees and they didn't like it, and they didn't like the rejection, even if they were talented, and they begin to expand. They try this, they try that, they end up, and then they become producers, right? Somehow they work themselves into that. Um, there's some people have very clear headed about I want to be a producer. Okay, the Latino community, from what I've experienced, we've had some people that I've recognized, that Carmen has recognized, and they're really talented producers, like young kids, and they're talented, but they want to be actors, and they want, and we're like, we'll support you, we'll support you. I mean, whatever we got, we'll let you even do our stuff for free. We just want you to get, because we see them. They make phone calls. If they need something, they'll call and get it. A producer is like this person that doesn't stop. They'll get what they need. You need that mentality, and we see these kids that can do that, and but they want to be actors, and it breaks our heart, because if two or three of those kids that we identified as possible producers, and it's been maybe 20 years ago, imagine what they'd be doing now. They'll have their own company, they'll be producing movies or theater or dance, whatever, right? And so that's part of the trick. We don't have the numbers where people can say, you know what, I'm going to try producing. Recently, a young lady who's an excellent actress went into producing, and we just did a kind of a little thing in Zoom, and the notes and everything she gives, like, she was so knowledgeable. I said, okay, whatever I'm doing, I'm gonna bring her in. If I'm doing a project, a commercial project, even though it's not my money, we bringing this person in, because she just knows everything about producing. She said, I wanted to do something else. Exactly. That's how you become a producer. Now she needs the opportunity to get those jobs to begin to expand. and get that muscle, right? It takes experience, right? Um, how do you recover when you fail? That's that. Like a puncher, right? The champions recover very very fast after they get knocked out, and non-champions don't get up, right? They stay down. So I'm in my head. This is a person. Any project, if I'm producing something of mine, no matter what level, I'm gonna bring her in. I'll make sure I get the money to bring her in because she's so sharp. And so maybe that's beginning to happen now. Now, backtracking a little bit, we had a guy who passed away, I guess 10 years ago, Ralph Mercado.
Oh yes,
You remember?
absolutely.
But you know, in the last 2 years of his life, that's when we met. We became brothers, and he became like my uncle and Carmen's uncle, and we became family. I mean, I always knew this man from afar,
Right, because he was
right?
very big producer in the music scene.
But I didn't know that he invested in movies. He invested in dance. Like when we were with him, we would go all over the place. We went to see some flamenco from Spain. Like he was one of the producers, like investors. Like every show on Broadway would call him. All the movies who are looking for money, you go to his office. All these people are there trying pitching to him. Right when he passed away, that killed us.
Yeah, but he
That
was
that's
again. He was the only game in town.
yes,
You know,
yes,
that's the problem. We
yes.
we get one person. We need a community of people like him. We need to clone that.
We do, and unfortunately, there were other people that worked with him, like the people who produced Celia, the play that Carmen and I wrote. Um,
Which was
it was,
fantastic. Which was fantastic. One of the best plays ever, and it should have gone to Broadway.
and it's very interesting. We we had music producers behind it, and they didn't know what it meant to have a hit. Where since it's off Broadway, we were making I don't know $40,000 a week profit off Broadway. That's a lot for off Broadway,
Yes.
but for them because when they produce a Ricky Martin concert in the weekend, they make $1 million. So for them, $40,000 was nothing, and they were so upset, and they didn't understand that any Broadway producer or any off Broadway producer, and we've spoken to some, they said, "Oh my God, uh, that's amazing." They they stopped the show when we had sold out the last 3 straight months, right? Um, we I think we ran for like 9.5 months, which is the longest running Latino produced, Latino written play off Broadway, and it could have gone, but it would have needed those people. We had somebody in the director that came in. She had connections, and she said, "Look, we could stop this play for a month, 2 months, like in the Heist did. In the Heist at the off Broadway, they stopped for 2 months. They reworked the play, and then they went to Broadway.